Hello students, welcome to AIMS India online classes. This is a chemistry session. Here we are discussing about the chapter structure of atom. Okay, in this session we are going to see practice sheet 2 related to this chapter. In the earlier session we have seen practice sheet 1 which contains completely single correct answer type questions, conceptual and these all. Now in this practice sheet we are going to see different kinds of questioning like multi correct answer type questions, comprehension paragraph, matrix matching and some other like analytical approach type questions. These all we are going to see in this practice sheet. Okay, let us start this practice sheet. Yes, good. So let us see first multi correct answer type questions. So for these questions, there may be one or more than one correct answers. Okay, choose wisely, read the question and answers carefully. See the first one. The wavelength of an electromagnetic radiation is inversely proportional to which this wavelength is being inversely proportional. See the first one, velocity of light. How is it related with velocity of light? See the some solutions for this relation with the wavelength to the other quantities, other characteristics of the electromagnetic radiations. If you observe first relation with energy, we have an equation E is equal to hc by lambda. So from this what can we write the relation between energy and wavelength? We can write energy is directly proportional to 1 by lambda. Otherwise we can say energy is inversely proportional to wavelength. So because here in this equation E is equal to hc by lambda, h and c, these two are constants. We know h is a Planck's constant whose value is equal to 6.625 into 10 to the power of minus 34 joule second, isn't it? It is a constant. What about c? C is also a constant called velocity of light whose value is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So as these two are constants, if you remove the constants from the equation, we get a relation between energy and wavelength as E is inversely proportional to lambda. Now what they're asking, wavelength of an electromagnetic radiation is inversely proportional to. So from this we got it is inversely proportional to energy. And wave number, because here wave number is also asked. So wave number is nothing but the reciprocal of wavelength. So this is the equation which is relating these two. Nu bar is equal to 1 by lambda. So suppose there is constant 1 here. If you remove the constant 1, it becomes the relation nu bar, wave number nu bar is inversely proportional to 1 by lambda. So wave number is also inversely proportional to wavelength. Okay. What about frequency? If you see the third equation given here, nu is equal to c by lambda. C as being a constant, if you remove that constant, we get it as nu is directly proportional to 1 by lambda, or nu is inversely proportional to lambda. So frequency is also inversely proportional to wavelength. What about velocity of light? If you see in these equations, if you take this equation nu is equal to c by lambda, if you write the same in other way, lambda is equal to c by frequency, we get the same no by cross multiplication. Yes, now here how this wavelength is related to the velocity of light? Directly related. If frequency is being constant, if it is constant, then wavelength will be directly related with velocity of light. So it won't come here because wavelength is not inversely proportional to velocity or velocity of light. Okay, except that remaining three quantities or remaining three characteristics are inversely proportional to wavelength of that radiation. Okay, now answer will be these three. Next, 1 angstrom is equal to. So this 1 angstrom is one of the units of wavelength. What is the wavelength representing? The distance between the two nearest troughs or crests is called wavelength. So as it is being distance, can be calculated in terms of meters, centimeters, micrometers, nanometers, angstroms. Most frequently used is angstroms, as this my wavelengths are very micro quantities. Okay, here 1 angstrom is equal to how many meters and how many centimeters. So here different units are given. So 1 angstrom is equal to 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. At the same time, it will be equal to 10 to the power of minus 8 centimeters also. Okay. The other two units which are equal to 1 angstrom. Next one, Bohr's theory is not applicable to. First, Bohr's theory is applicable to which it is applicable. If you know that, then we can say answer for this question. Generally, Bohr's theory is applicable only for single electron species like hydrogen and hydrogen like species, other species which are containing only one electron in them. For those species, this Bohr's theory is applicable, but it is not applicable for the multi-electron systems or the systems which are not having electrons. For those, this Bohr's theory is not applicable. See the options here which are having only one electron in them. For those, Bohr's theory is applicable, but which are having other than one electrons, means if they have no electrons or if they have more than one electrons, for those all systems, Bohr's theory is not applicable. See the first one, helium they have given. How many electrons will be there in the helium? Two electrons. So Bohr's theory is not applicable to helium. What about Li plus 2? We know lithium atomic number as 3. If we say Li plus 2, what does it mean? It lost 2 electrons. So out of 3, 2 are lost. How many electrons remain in the Li plus 2 now? 1 electron. So it is single electron species. For this, Bohr's theory is applicable. For helium, it is not applicable. What about He plus 2 or 2 plus? Helium atomic number is 2, it will be having 2 electrons. So as it is mentioned here plus 2 or 2 plus, that means it lost 2 electrons. So as there are, it lost 2 electrons, how many electrons are remained in He plus 2? No electrons. So 0 electrons. Then for this also Bohr's theory is not applicable. Okay, what about H plus? We know hydrogen has only 1 electron, but as it is mentioned here H plus, it lost its 1 electron. No electrons in H plus. So for this also Bohr's theory is not applicable. Now in the question they are asking for which this Bohr's theory is not applicable. For which? 1, 3, 4. For these three, Bohr's theory is not applicable. Okay. Next, which of the following is correct? They have given here the shell and the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in that shell. Check these matchings where it is given correct and where it is given incorrect matchings. We know the formula which was given by Bohr and Bury system to calculate the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in an orbit. What is that formula? Formula is 2n square. Is a formula from which we can understand, we can know the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in an orbit, where n represents here the number of the orbit. If you see first shell, that is K shell means n value 1. We substitute in this 2n square 1 in the place of n, it becomes 2 into 1 square. What it becomes total now? 2 into 1, that is 2 electrons. So it is correct. K shell can accommodate maximum of 2 electrons. Next second shell, L means n value 2. So if you substitute n value in this 2n square formula, it becomes 2 into 2 square. We know 2 square means 4. 4 into 2, 8. So this is also correct. What about third n shell? N shell means n value 3. So if you substitute in 2n square, in the place of n3, we get 2 into 3 square. How much it becomes? 2 into 9, that is 18. So this is also correct. And in the M shell means it is a fourth shell. So in the place of n, we have to substitute 4. It becomes 2 into 4 square. 4 square means 16. 16 into 2, 32. So fourth shell can accommodate maximum of 32 electrons. So these 4 are correct statements, isn't it? Now correct answer will be all of these. Next, comprehension paragraph type question. Let us see the paragraph or comprehension given here. Based on that, they will give some questions. See the first one statement given here. The frequency nu, velocity of light c, and the wavelength lambda of an electromagnetic radiation are related one to another. The other commonly used quantity, especially in spectroscopes, is the wave number. So now these are the characteristics of the electromagnetic radiations. These all are related one to another. What are those? Frequency, velocity of light, wavelength, and wave number. So based on these relations, they may ask questions here. Let us see the first one. Which of the following relations are correct? See, between these, some relations they have mentioned here. Which are correct among these, we have to find. Let us see equationally those. Nu is equal to c by lambda. This is the relation we have. Nu is equal to c by lambda. If you cross multiply, this lambda will come here. Then it becomes nu into lambda is equal to c. What is nu here? Frequency. That means, and lambda is wavelength. And this c is velocity of light. Now frequency into wavelength is equal to velocity of light. The same it is given in the first relation, first statement, right? It is correct. And if you see second one, it is just nothing but Planck's equation. E is equal to h nu. That is, energy is equal to Planck's constant h into frequency nu. So this is also correct relation. What's the third one given? Frequency is equal to velocity of light into wave number. We have the relation E is equal to h nu. In the place of nu, if we substitute this value, nu is equal to c by lambda, it becomes E is equal to h into c by lambda. Okay. Now, from this, what can we write? This, we can write it as E is equal to h into c into, what you can write this 1 by lambda. Okay, it is correct only now. Now, this 1 by lambda, in the place of 1 by lambda, we can mention what they're asking here. Let me say once again. Relation between frequency and wave number. Okay, let us take the same equation once again. Nu is equal to c by lambda. Okay, the same we can write as c into 1 by lambda. So this 1 by lambda is nothing but wave number. Now we can write it as c into wave number, isn't it? So frequency is equal to velocity of light into wave number. So that the same it is given a third option. Now this also correct statement. Okay, got it? So by this, what we understood here, these three relations are correct. Now what will be correct answer? 4. Next. Next question. The wavelength of a radiation is 97540 centimeters, 97,540 centimeters. Calculate its frequency. They have given here wavelength and asking to calculate frequency. What relation we have between these two? Let us see that. Nu is equal to c by lambda. We have nu is equal to c by lambda, where nu is frequency, c is velocity of light, lambda is wavelength. Okay, now let us substitute these values. Velocity of light is being constant, we know the value of it. What is that? 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. So that is taken here. And the lambda, wavelength is given here 97,540 centimeters. So but here velocity of light is taken in meters per second. So let us convert this wavelength also into meters. We know 1 centimeter is equal to 10 to the power of minus 2 meters. So to convert this wavelength into meters from centimeters, it should be multiplied with 10 to the power of minus 2. Then it will be in meters. Now if you simplify this, we get the value as 3.07 into 10 to the power of 5 second inverse. This is the frequency of that radiation. Okay, where is it given? What will be the correct answer now? Yes, first one. Okay, next, one more question. Light of any electromagnetic radiation travels in vacuum or air with a speed of. Yes, almost all the electromagnetic radiations will travel with the same speed. That is equal to velocity of light. What is that velocity of light? 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, or 3 into 10 to the power of 10 meters per second. Where is it mentioned? See once in the first option. Okay, all the radiations, all the electromagnetic radiations will travel with the same speed. That is equal to 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Okay, next, one more comprehension. So the paragraph given here also. Electrons occupy orbitals with lower energy first. Electronic configuration is a representation of the occupation of electrons in the orbitals in the increasing order of their energies. Yes, it actually about Aufbau principle. Okay, first statement given. Electrons occupy orbitals the lower energy first, or the orbitals which are having n plus L value lower will be occupied with the electrons first, then the higher orbitals. And what is the next statement about electronic configuration? It is a representation of the occupation of electrons into different shells and subshells in the increasing order of their energies. Okay, based on these two concepts, we are going to have some questions here. See the first one. Which of the following representations or which of the following represents the energy of the orbital? Actually, in the absence of magnetic field or electric field, the energy of the orbitals is considered or compared in terms of azimuthal quantum number and principal quantum number values. The sum of these numbers will be considered to compare the energies of the orbitals. So principal quantum number is denoted with the symbol n, and azimuthal quantum number is represented with symbol L. So the energy of the orbitals is compared in terms of n plus L values. Where is it mentioned? N plus L here in the first option. Okay. So the orbital which is having the greater n plus L value is said to be having greater energy, and vice versa. Next, which of the following has more energy? So just now we have seen the previous question, how to compare the energies of the orbitals based on the n plus L value. N representing its principal quantum number, L representing the subshell or azimuthal quantum number. Okay, now see, for each let us try to calculate the n plus L value. First orbital given is here 1s. For this, what is the n value? 1. What about L value? L value is given based upon the subshell in which that electron. So S subshell means L value will be 0. Now what do we get total here? 1. If you see for this, N value is 2 and L value for this also 0 because it is S subshell. Now it becomes 2. What about the third one? N value is 3. L value is 1 because P subshell. Total it becomes 4. And if we see the last one, N value is 3, L value is 2 because D subshell. For a D subshell, azimuthal quantum number value is 2. Total it becomes 5. So which orbital is having greater N plus L value? The same orbital is said to be having greater energy also. Now which is having greater energy? Obviously the fourth one. Okay, and if any two orbitals they get the same n plus L value, then we have to compare their n value separately. The orbital which is having greater n value will be considered as with greater energy. Okay, next question. No two electrons in an atom can have. What do they cannot have? Two electrons in an atom. Okay, according to Pauli's exclusion principle, no two electrons in an atom can have a set of quantum numbers identical or an identical set of four quantum numbers. There may be at maximum of three quantum numbers same for any two electrons in an atom, but at least one quantum number will be deferred for them. That means no two electrons in an atom can have same set of quantum numbers. Okay, where is it mentioned clearly? In the fourth option. Got it? Now let us see next question. It is based upon the matrix matching type. So here two columns are given. The one in the column 1 may get one or more correct matchings from the column 2. So try to match them carefully. See the first one, here they have given in the column 1 certain characteristics of electromagnetic radiations. And in the column 2 they have mentioned their units and some relation with other quantities. See the first one, frequency. What are the units of frequency? Second inverse, Hertz, cycles per second. These are all the units of frequency. Here they have given second inverse. And at the same time, frequency is inversely proportional to wavelength also, isn't it? So these two will come as matching for the first one. What about wavelength? Wavelength is a distance, so it will be having units centimeter inverse. Next, wave number. Wave number is the reciprocal of wavelength, so it will be having the units centimeter inverse, and it is also inversely proportional to wavelength. What about velocity of light? Velocity of light is speed per unit time, so it will be having units centimeters per second. Okay, they are the matchings. See correct matching here. Frequency centimeter is second inverse and inversely proportional to wavelength. Wavelength centimeters. Wave number centimeter inverse and reciprocal to or inversely proportional to wavelength. Velocity of light centimeters per second. Check the matching ones carefully whether it is correct or not. Yes, good. Next, let us see one more matrix matching. Here, certain equations are given in the column 1. And in the column 2, they have given the scientist who proposed and who has given that equation. See the first one, E is equal to mc square. This is energy mass relation which was given by Einstein. Einstein has given this mass energy relation E is equal to mc square, where C representing the velocity of light, isn't it? Next, E is equal to h nu. This is the equation which was given by Max Planck, where E representing energy, h is Planck's constant, nu is frequency. So it was given by Max Planck. The third one, lambda is equal to h by mv. This we call as de Broglie's wavelength equation. De Broglie has derived an equation to calculate the wavelength of particles based upon these two relations. So here this is energy E is equal to mc square. This is also energy which is equal to h nu. So these two can be equated now for a particle. Now from these two, lambda value is derived as lambda is equal to h by mv, which was given by de Broglie, and it is called uncertainty principle, which was proposed by Heisenberg. He concluded that we have learned that if an electron is revolving with the high velocity around the nucleus, its position and momentum cannot be calculated accurately simultaneously. If we calculate them simultaneously, we may get some errors in those quantities. So, though based upon those errors, the error quantities, it has derived an equation that is equal to delta x into delta p is greater or equal to h by 4 pi, which was given by Heisenberg. It is called Heisenberg's relation. Okay, now see the matching, correct matching. E is equal to mc square, Einstein. E is equal to h nu, Planck's equation. lambda is equal to h by mv, de Broglie's equation, and Heisenberg's uncertainty equation, delta x and delta p is greater or equal to h by 4 pi. That is Heisenberg's equation. Okay, this is a correct matching. Next, analytical approach type questions. See the first one, the orbital diagram in which both Pauli's exclusion principle and Hund's rule are violated. So first of all, what we have to remember once, what is Pauli's principle? Pauli's principle states that no two electrons in an atom can have same set of quantum numbers. So to be true this, to be followed by the, to understand this, you have to understand there, no, there should be maximum of two electrons in an orbital, in any orbital, and those two electrons also should be with opposite spins, one with clockwise and other with anti-clockwise spin. Okay, that is about Pauli's principle. Next one, Hund's rule. What does it states? Hund's rule states that pairing of electrons takes place only after filling all the degenerate orbitals with a single electron. What are degenerate orbitals? The orbitals present in a subshell are called degenerate orbitals. Generally to say orbitals with the same energy are called degenerate orbitals. So the orbitals present in a subshell will be having same energy. So they are called degenerate orbitals. Now these degenerate orbitals first will be occupied with only single electron. When all the degenerate orbitals are occupied by single electron, then pairing will be started. Okay, these two are the principles. Now let us observe the configurations where these two principles are violated. See the first one, 2s 2p they have given. 2s is completely filled and 2p is occupied. But if you observe here, there are two electrons in the first 2p orbital. Both are with the same spin. If both are in the same spin, if we write quantum numbers for these two electrons, four quantum numbers will be same for these two electrons because they are in the same orbital. At the same time, they are with the same spin also. Then they will get the same set of four quantum numbers, which is a violation of Pauli's principle. And if you observe here, this third p orbital kept vacant, and here first orbital is containing two electrons, which is in violation of Hund's rule. What does it states here? If there are three degenerate orbitals, all should be occupied with a single electron first. Then only pairing should take in place. But here what happened? Without filling this with single electron, pairing has taken place here. So which is the violation of Hund's rule. Second one, so after filling this to a sorry, after filling 2s, electrons entered into 2p. That is correct. But here, uh, Pauli's principle is followed because if we observe in each orbital, two electrons are there maximum, and both the electrons in the opposite spins in all the three orbitals. So Pauli's principle is followed here. But Hund's rule is violated because without filling this third 2p orbital, electrons occupied and paired here in the remaining two orbitals, which is against to Hund's rule. First of all the degenerate orbitals should be occupied with single electron, but it is not taking place here. So only Hund's rule is violated. What about here? Pauli's principle, Hund's rule, both are violated. But here only Hund's rule is violated. Next, if you see the third configuration, after filling 2sl completely, electrons are into 2p, and that too, all the degenerate orbitals are occupying with single electron. No pairing has taken place. So this completely followed both the principles. Even three principles are followed in this configuration, isn't it? Yes. Next, if you see the fourth configuration, after filling 2s orbital, electrons enter into 3p orbitals. And here, all the three degenerate orbitals are occupied with single electron. Then the pairing has taken place in these two. So this also followed all the principles. Now what will be the correct answer? The configuration which violated both Pauli's principle and Hund's rule. That is the first one. Got it? Next question. Beryllium fourth electron will have the 4 quantum numbers. So they're asking to write here the 4 quantum numbers of the fourth electron of beryllium. So if we know the configuration, then we can write the set of quantum numbers. First, let us try to write the configuration of beryllium. What is atomic number of beryllium? 4. So for 4, if you write configuration, what do we get? 1s2, 2s2. So this is the electronic configuration of beryllium. If you write this same diagrammatically, we get it as like this. So there are 2 electrons in the 1s. We can mention them like this. One in the upward arrow mark, one in the downward arrow mark. In the 2s also, there are 2 electrons. One with the clockwise spin, other with the anti-clockwise spin. Now they're asking to write the set of quantum numbers for the last electron. Now this is the last electron. For this we have write the quantum numbers. So first we write principal quantum number value. Principal quantum number value n value gives the number of the orbit in which that last electron is present. See in which orbit it is there? In the second orbit. Now we can write n is equal to 2. What about L value? L gives information about the subshell in which that electron is present. If you see this last electron is present, fourth electron is present in the S subshell. So S subshell means what will be the L value? 0. If L value itself it is 0, M value also will be 0. That represents only one orbital in that subshell. Okay, now last quantum number, spin quantum number. See, generally for the first electron we represent clockwise spin with plus half value, and for the fourth electron or second electron in that orbital, the spin will be anti-clockwise spin and its value will be given as minus half. Okay, 200 minus half. Where it is, see here. Yes, in the fourth option. Got it? If we know the electronic configuration, then we can write the set of quantum numbers for any electron in this way. So n value is given based upon the subshell in which it is located, and L value is based upon the subshell in which that electron is present. Okay. One more question. Number of electrons of manganese with magnetic quantum number value 0. Oh, you're asking the number of electrons with magnetic quantum number value M value 0. To know that, for this also first we have to write the electron configuration. So let us try to write the configuration of manganese. Atomic number of manganese is 25. So if you write for this configuration, we get it as 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, next 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, how many come to 20? Then 3d5. So this is the configuration of manganese. Now for this orbital, 1s orbital, what will be the m value? Because L value itself it is 0 for this, m value will be 0 for this also. This there are 2 electrons in this, and for S subshell generally m value will be 0 only, because in that only one orbital will be existing. So for this also 0. And in this 2p subshell, totally there are 3 orbitals. Out of these 3 orbitals, one will be having minus 1 value, other one 0, and plus 1 for the remaining one. So in this also there is one orbital with m value 0, and in that there are 2 electrons, and here 2 electrons, because here also m value will be 0 for this S subshell. And the same way in this 3p orbital also, just like the 2p orbital, there will be 2 electrons with m is equal to 0. So here 2, here 2, here 2, and in this 2, and in the 3p subshell 2 electrons, and the 4s subshell orbital also 2 electrons, because there is only one orbital with L is equal to 0 and M is equal to 0 for that. And if you see 3d subshell, 1 2 3 4 5, there are 5 orbitals. Out of these 5 orbitals, one will be having the -2 value, -1, 0, +1 and +2. So in this, M value is 0 for one orbital. In that there is one electron, because there are 5 electrons in the d subshell. As per the Hund's rule, all the degenerate orbitals will be occupied with single electron. All will be containing one electron. In the M is equal to 0 orbital also, there is one electron. Now here one electron. Here one. So in the 1s 2, in this 2, in this also 2, in the 3s also 2, 3p also contains 2, 4s2, and then 3d contains 1. What is the total of these all electrons? It will be 13. So correct answer is 13. In this way, we can calculate number of electrons with the magnetic quantum number value 0. Got this? Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our YouTube channel AIMS Today for latest updates and recorded videos.